While retail is worried about price action and how we're in the red across the board and the different geopolitical events happening around the Middle East, we're starting to see institutions slowly creep into crypto in a major way. We're seeing more ETF announcements. We're seeing that the stablecoin yield is getting approved, which means that we're going to see the Clarity Act be approved here soon. And then that's my opinion. I'm going to show you in this video why I think that's happening. There's too many events lining up to show otherwise. And on April 14th, 2026 in Washington, D.C., there is a major event that's going to happen that could change all of this for you from this one meeting, which we'll talk about. So stick around for that. Let's go ahead and get into it though, guys. This is going to come from Eleanor Tourette on X, and this is coming out April 8th, 2026. And it does have to do with the stablecoin yield, which, as you know, is one of the major holdups for the Clarity Act to be signed. So check out what she had to say about this. Very important information. It says, just in, the White House Council of the Economic Advisors has released its study on stablecoin yield and its potential impact on deposit flight and banking lending. The same report I noted last month that the Senate banking lawmakers were pressing the White House to release. The data at baseline, I'm right here now, guys, so you can see where I'm at. The data at baseline eliminating yield increases lending by just 0.02%. That's $2.1 billion and results in a net welfare loss. Down here in short, though, it says, in short, a yield prohibition would do very little to protect bank lending while foregoing the consumer benefits of competitive returns on stablecoin holdings, the executive summary reads. So if you're interested in reading that executive summary, I do have all my links down in my description for you to find and do your own research, which I highly encourage you to do. But this situation with the stablecoin yield is a massive one, because if you've been following the story, of course, you know that Coinbase has been a major component of pushing back on the Clarity Act because they were trying to take one of these components, such as the stablecoin yield, out of that. Looks like the stablecoin yield is going to possibly proceed. I mean, it's not signed into law yet, but this is a good momentum going forward, and hopefully we can see that Clarity Act being signed here soon. By May would be ideal. By the end of April is what we're hoping for, right? So to go into this, let's look at the different ETFs that are coming out and these different announcements around these institutions stepping into the crypto world in a big way. And this next story is going to come from Crypto Rover on April 8th and has to do with Morgan Stanley and the Bitcoin ETF. Read along with me here. It says, today, $6 trillion Morgan Stanley becomes the first bank to launch a spot Bitcoin ETF. This is huge. So we have Morgan Stanley launching a spot Bitcoin ETF. This is massive. This is going to help Bitcoin explode even more. And if you're in the market, you know, as Bitcoin right now goes up, the rest of the alts go up as well. A great exposure for crypto that becomes even more mainstream, which gets more eyes on crypto, because people that are investing won't just stop at Bitcoin. Once they're doing well, they'll start looking at other assets like alts as well. And what a perfect example of that happening as we look at what Canary Capital just announced when it has to do with HBAR. This is another big move. But this comes out on April 6, 2026 from Canary Capital's X account. Read along with me here. Check it out. It says, Enterprise Crypto just hit NASDAQ. HBR is the first U.S. spot HBAR ETF, bringing registered access to a network governed by names like Google and IBM. Built for the next wave of real-world asset tokenization. So there we have Canary Capital launching HBR, the first spot HBAR ETF, getting launched. And this is huge because of the real-world tokenization, which if you've been following BlackRock, Larry Fink, he has said since 2024, 2025 that tokenization is going to be the next big move. And he wasn't lying. We're seeing that unfold right now. We're seeing multiple institutions talking about tokenization in a major way, right? I'll give you an example here. Let's go ahead and look at a post that comes from Ondo Finance on April 8th. This is their X account. It has to do with MetaMask and BNB as well. So check it out with me. It says, Wall Street now in MetaMask wallet. Over 260 Ondo tokenized stocks and ETFs are now live in MetaMask on BNB chain. And from MetaMask, they stated that we just enabled support for trading tokenized stocks and ETFs in MetaMask extension. We have 264 assets to trade, 61 of which just have been added across Ethereum and now on BNB. Tokenized stocks and ETFs in MetaMask. This is huge. Are you seeing the blending between the two worlds? We're seeing the old system step into the new system, and it's going to be they're going to cross each other, and they're going to they're going to coexist together for a little bit here, at least anyway. And we're seeing that right now, which is exciting about this. It's giving the unlock for major money to step into the crypto market. A lot of people are still kind of weary about crypto. You may have been around it for a while, so you're not sure why people feel that way, but the masses of the population, they're not sure about crypto. They still don't even know what XRP is, or they don't even know what a stable coin is for the most part. If you ask them about real world assets, they have no idea what you're talking about. And then you especially say tokenized real world assets, they're clueless. Hey guys, while we're here though, can you please hit that like button? As you guys know, viewership around the board is down from crypto YouTube. It'd be amazing if you could help out the channel, hit that like button. If you like this kind of reporting where there's no hype or hopium, please consider hitting that subscribe button. We would love to have you part of the channel. Now let's get back into it though. Let's talk about what's going on with Evernorth following with the SEC, which is going to change everything for Evernorth should this get adopted. So check it out with me. This comes from Chart Nerd, and this comes out on April 7th, 2026. Read along with me here. It says, just in, Evernorth files amendment number 1 to its Form S-4 registration statement with the SEC on April 7th, 2026. The filing advances its proposed business combination with Armada Acquisition Corp. 2, targeting a NASDAQ listing under XRPN as a major public XRP treasury. So this is huge, and if this were to happen, think about what goes on here. If Evernorth gets this approved, that's going to get them a step closer to being the largest publicly traded XRP treasury company out there. If this were to get approved and we get Evernorth on NASDAQ, XRPN being listed, think about the exposure for the XRP token itself. And as we're talking about ETFs, and we're looking at something like the XRPN from Evernorth, keep in mind, HBAR and XRP are both commodities. This definitely changes the way that the price is in relation to the asset, right? This is going to be in a big exposure for them. Yes, it will take some time, so don't get too excited about that. It's not going to be like tomorrow you're going to be a millionaire. It's more or less about what this unlocks is why that's exciting. And as we move closer to what's going on April 14th and what can be done after that point when we look at the Clarity Act, this could be an exciting summer for anybody holding any kind of crypto asset. Even more exciting for me is as I look at the trends and typically how we see some spikes. We typically see spikes towards November through January, February. So even if we don't see anything crazy throughout the summer, I could see this winter going into spring of 2027 being an exciting time just based off of all this new, rules and legislation and this different adoption coming around. There's so many stories to even talk about. But there's a lot more exposure in the crypto world, is essentially what I'm getting at. Now let's move on to the next story here, which is going to come from Coin Bureau and has to do with South Korea stablecoins and tokenization as well. Another big move for South Korea. So check it out with me. This comes out on April 8th. It says, South Korea is moving to legalize tokenized real-world assets and stablecoins under existing laws. The proposal sets rules for both RWAs and stablecoins, requiring real asset backing and regulated trust while allowing stablecoins to be used more easily for everyday payments. So as we step back and we take a look at the global impact of what's going on right now, we're seeing more and more countries talk about tokenization and stable coins. It's becoming an everyday topic. It's an everyday event. They are already adopting stable coins. They're already using stable coins. They're already tokenizing their assets. This is another signal, a sign that crypto is not going anywhere. I think that's safe to say at this point. Now, adoption and getting the Clarity Act is a different story, but we know crypto is here to stay. And as these stories come out, we're seeing it on a bigger scale as each story hits, it seems like. And while we're talking about big stories hitting, the next one I want to talk about, I have spoke about on this channel before, and I'm bringing it back up again because I'm not seeing any other creator talk about this. And I feel like it's something that people are missing. And I really want to hone in on this. And if you don't know what Bretton Woods is, please do your research on Bretton Woods, especially around the 1940s time frame, and see how massive it is that this group, this committee is coming together in Washington, D.C., April 14th, 2026 for their spring summit. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This is going to be from their actual website, and pay close attention to what I read here and really think about the implications of not just what they're going to be talking about, but who is going to be at this event. And now put it all together, especially if you haven't done your research on the 1940s Bretton Woods and what came of that. I'm going to leave it as that because I want you to do your research. I want you to get enthralled with this, right? So check it out. Read along with me here. It says, alongside the IMF and the World Bank spring meetings, Bretton Woods Committee will host an annual spring summit in Washington, D.C. on April 14, 2026. This is where it gets interesting. The global economic order is undergoing a profound transition as the rules-based system that underpinned decades of stability is under strain and mounting structural and geopolitical pressure. At this year's summit, global policymakers, economists, and institutional leaders will come together to advance pragmatic solutions on urgent cross-border challenges with the goal of building a more resilient international system. What do you think they could be talking about when we're talking about cross-border payments, international resilient systems? And let's go down, let's check out who is going to be at this, or at least some of these speakers that they have already listed. You can check it out. We have Christine Lagarde. She's the president of the European Central Bank. I can't say this guy's name, so I'm not going to offend him, but it's the president of the World Bank. Then we have the managing director, International Monetary Fund, the IMF. We have the chair of the Bretton Woods Committee, former president and CEO of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Then we come down here. We also have former Minister of Foreign Affairs, European Union and Cooperation of Spain, co-chair, Future Development Cooperation Coalition. Then we have Vice President of Bretton Woods Committee. Then we have Vice Chair, Bretton Woods Committee. So let's put all these stories together here and let's really think about what's going on here. We have the stable coin yield pressing forward. Looks like we have clarity around that, which is one of the last linchpins we needed for the Clarity Act to get signed and move forward, right? We have spot Bitcoin ETF coming out. We have Canary Capital, the spot HBAR ETF coming out. We have Evernorth looking to go live on NASDAQ to bring more recognition to XRP. We have Ondo teaming up with MetaMask and BNB, getting more exposure to stocks and ETFs, right? And then we have from the bar chart, we're going to talk about Evernorth. And then we have South Korea stepping into stablecoin tokenization as well. And then we have the Bretton Woods Committee on April 14th stepping in to have the summit. And as we look at the global geopolitical events that are unfolding, I think it's more or less a perfect timing that they are here to do this. I'm not trying to lead into it too much. I'll let you have your own conclusion on this. But we put all these stories together, you're starting to see the bigger picture. Institutions are here, governments are here, they know where they're going. They are simply getting themselves lined up. And you're watching all this unfold because you are paying attention, which is amazing right now that we have this opportunity to do so. So stop watching the price charts. Start watching what they're doing. That's more important. What are they doing? Not what are they saying? There's going to be a lot of FUD to shove you out of the market, a lot of bad headlines saying crypto's dead and all this. But at the same time, you're watching all this unfold behind the scenes. So pay attention to what they're doing, not what they're saying, and you'll see where we're going. That's all I have for you guys in this video. Before I let you go, please consider hitting that like button. I really do need the help on the channel for that kind of thing. And consider subscribing if you like this kind of reporting. Before I let you go, as always though, guys, take care of yourself and take care of the people around you and become that change that you want to see in the world. Thank you for hanging out. I'll see you on the next one.